Hello and welcome to episode 479 of the God is a Geek podcast. We've been off. It's been a week off. We've had a lot to do, and that's why we've had a week off. I am here with Chris Hyde.
Hello.
I mean,
Hello,
people watching live heard you already. They already heard you, but the people listening to the edited version later, no clue. So this is all gold. Chris, it's a busy time, which means we need to draft someone in. It can't just be you and I.
We need to bring in an extra bod, an extra brain,
an extra
mouth.
And man, I nearly wore a suit for this because it's only the return of Adam Carroll. Hello, mate.
Oh, I wish he wore suits. All right, lads.
I really thought about it, but the thing is, it needed to have more impact. Do you know what I mean? Like, and you guys would already have seen me wearing it. It just wouldn't have had the same impact because How are you, mate? You all right?
I'm good. You may have had a week off. I've had several weeks.
Yeah, 2 months nearly. No, 2 months. It's 2 months.
It has been 2 months. Yeah. I've just been like getting into this house, and this is my house that I'm in now, which has been a long time coming.
Very much. But,
yeah, back here, and the thing was, like, got in here, and it was all good getting in before Christmas and stuff like that. And then it was the whole thing of, let's get internet. Let's get internet in. The world needs the World Wide Web. We need all that stuff. And it was all set up for it. Bought the whole thing, everything like that. And then it was like, oh, okay, the engineer's going to come out to you there. And I was like, all right, why? Like, why is an engineer coming out? Like, I don't know if that's the case for you guys, if you've ever bought, like broadband and had to get some guy to come out. But this was apparently what was happening. I didn't know why. And they were sending out like the modem, and they were like, yeah, the modem will be here, and then your engineer's coming out in like 4 weeks. And I was like, so what? You're telling me I'm just gonna have this like modem and not have like no internet? Like what's the story? So Matey Chops comes out anyway a month later, and he just walks up to my door, and I just open up and go, I'm so happy you're here. There's so many things I want to do on the internet. And he just went. He was just like, well, they're going to have to wait a little longer, I'd say. And I was like, why? And he goes, there's nothing outside for me to hook up this. Like, because I'm after getting, like, it's a new build estate. So, like, none of the underground wiring, let's say, whatever you want to call it, was set up.
No pipes, no thick pipes.
There was just nothing to connect the internet. So I was like, holy shit. Like, and to this, like, right now as it stands, there still is nothing. Like, there's nothing at all. Like, I've gotten some, like, mobile thing at the moment, which is doing fine so far, thankfully. But I just said I had to come back on. I had to. It's been too long. And I just wanted to talk video games. And by Christ, there's games.
Yeah, I mean, listen, it would be rude, really, to not let you just start where you want to start. And I'll hope I've got footage to overlay as you speak, basically. What have you been up to?
Okay, well... Jeez, I could go on about old games, but I won't. The three main games which you have all discussed already. Number one, I say Dying Light 2. Okay, I've been through it. Been there, done that. Not the 500 hours, but like it's look in short, because I'm not going to spend too long on this. It's just not as good as the first game, which is like a real shame. Like for me personally, I didn't care about the story. I didn't think the choices really mattered any way whatsoever. And you know what? The world just wasn't as fun. And that's a weird thing to say. And like, I don't know. Like I played the whole thing, and I was kind of like, all right, cool. And you know, in my head, I was kind of saying, this will be fun at least with friends. And it kind of is, and then you kind of aim to get those trophies and that platinum. And I don't know if you boys have looked at those trophies. They're stupid. They're fucking stupid.
My friend was telling me something about one of them being like just getting like 1 million coins or something. Is that right or something?
There's something outrageous like that
to do though. That's really lame. Like, it's not very imaginative, is it?
Yeah, there's some other trophies where you have to like, I don't know, reset the game in certain ways and all this kind of stuff. It's just pure rubbish. Like, just not enjoyable to do. Yeah, it's fine. I think its reviews are very much like exactly where it probably should be. But there's a lot more magic in that first game, if I'm honest. Then the second
did
game
you
I
see,
talked.
Sorry, did you see they've patched they've upgraded the original game for PS5 now?
Yeah, and Xbox coming
Oh,
soon.
really?
Xbox probably will be out by the time this. Yeah, like they've given it like a 60 frames per second, and like there's 3 modes, graphical performance, all that stuff.
Yeah.
One of them's like QHD, which is sort of between 4K and 1080p. I just thought, what odd timing. I know they said they were going to do it, but like the new game's out. It seems a really odd focus draw.
Yeah, I feel it's just like, it's the last kind of bit of Dying Light buzz for that game, for that first game anyway, that they control. Is like, right now, let's just do it right now, because they're after releasing that edition on Switch and all that kind of stuff. But it's it 2 is up. 2 is fine. It's just fine. That's the way.
That's how I felt about it, man. Like it is. I don't hate it, but like there's. I mean, what we'll talk about this week. There's so much else vying for my attention that I would actually rather be playing. And I'll be honest with you, what you said about the co-op, I played a bit with Chris. I thought it was all right. I think. Christ, here's a statement for you. I think I enjoy the co-op in Elden Ring more than Dying Light 2. I mean, that sounds so many kinds of wrong and weird, but
yeah. I just think that like there's too many cooks in the kitchen for Dying Light 2. There's just too many gameplay elements that are unnecessary that I didn't really even use or care about, or like the skill upgrade system is just like whatever. It's just I just want to go around and slash zombies.
Yeah.
And for the most part, you can do that. Obviously, for the most, like that's what you are doing.
That's literally the game.
It just didn't click as much as I was hoping. Then the other one would have been Horizon Forbidden West.
Okay, so I'm genuinely dying to hear your thoughts on this one.
So, it's weird because it's going to. There's something I need to kind of go on about, which is going to be about the third game that we're all going to talk about.
I thought you meant the third Horizon for a minute. Then I was like, "Wow, he's going into the future."
The third game we're going away. I have yet to finish Horizon.
It's a big game.
That's the
same.
The 2 games we're going to talk about next are big games. Horizon is, I think it's brilliant. I think damn, does it look good?
Oh man,
it does look nice.
That game looks just so good. I'm just like, here's the thing, like the reason I haven't finished is because of Elden Ring, which I'll discuss in a minute.
Same for Chris, I think.
Absolutely,
but here's the story: is that like I put about, I'd say, 15 hours into Horizon, which isn't much.
No, it's not.
If I'm honest, because Jesus, as from what I can remember when that game where I left off, I was like, there is a
just getting going, really. Here. To be honest with you,
I'll
be honest with you. When I finished it, so we got it like 3 weeks before it came out. Like Sony are really good about that, and I just finished it before embargo because it's just been such a busy period. But also that game was, it took me 40 hours to see credits, and I will be going back. I will be going back for the platinum of that one. But it is a substantial game. Like it is, I think it's bigger than the first one.
Oh, easily.
Yeah,
like easily. There's so much more going on. There's a lot more stuff to kind of just like access and things like that, and like even down to its dialogue, which is something I want to discuss again. And I know I keep saying that, but it is one thing I want to discuss. But overall, this game just felt like Horizon. It just made me kind of go
refined. Though.
Yeah, this feels just great. I can see where I'm going to be like 40 hours in how the game, because I just remember in the first game, like I was all over the place. So you're jumping everywhere trying to avoid all the enemies and stuff, and you feel like you're just a disaster at the game, But all of a sudden it just clicks and you get like ridiculously cool at it, and you're just sliding and it's all super smooth and everything like that. I think so far the story is actually, from what I've seen anyway, it's interesting. I think there's a lot more to it anyway.
Yeah. You won't see it coming, is what I'll say. I'll say that there's moments late on in there that I was like texting Chris White back and forth and being like, "Are you at point?" It was a bit like God of War. It was like, "Are you at this point? Are you at this point?" And I was like, and he'd finished it because he finished it about a week before me. He really hammered it, and he was like, "I'm not going to say anything." He said, "But because I was like, there's a lot There's a lot going on in this game, like a lot of story going on in this game, and I was like, I'm kind of worried they've bitten off more than they can chew. Like, can they really, when games do that, you want to be like, when the credits run, you want to be like, and I'm satisfied that every single thread there was tied up. And what I would say is he was bang on when he just said to me, just keep playing, because it goes places. And also, I will say to you both, and I'm sure you're both going to finish it, there's definitely a moment in here we'll be talking about at the end of the year for like moment of, there is definitely a moment. Like I'm dying to talk about it, but it's so spoilery. I'm not gonna.
Yeah, I remember then like going into a lot of people going on about the opening of the game and stuff.
Yeah.
And I obviously won't get into this now because I'm sure there's probably some people who still have yet to play the game and stuff. But I remember a lot of people explaining like, oh, it's pretty dire. Like people were just like not interested.
Are they?
Yeah, there was a lot of
people.
Like
tutorial section.
Yeah, the opening section, like where it's
kind of
very
slow.
linear.
It's quite slow the start of the game.
Yeah,
but I think it
I
needs.
didn't like it at all. Like
no,
I didn't mind it either. Like that's the thing I'm just basically saying is that like I heard a lot of people say, oh, it's just the first opening, like 2 hours is just pure, it's underwhelming. It just kind of doesn't introduce the game.
I mean, you're killing an enemy within like 10 minutes, aren't you?
Mm-hmm. I know. Yeah. I know, and it is pretty linear. It is doing a lot of the stuff that you've seen a million times in other games and all that jazz. But I think, for me anyway, I was just kind of like, we're back here with this franchise, this game.
It's so I was kind of carrying on from the end of, like directly from the end of.
And and I think it does a good job as well that it doesn't. It does a good job of summarizing what's gone before without just. Overdoing it. Yeah. It just goes, here's the things you need to know, and it weaves it in a way that
don't you fight a snake in the first hour? Like in the first hour of the game, don't you fight one of the new monsters, the snake, like very quickly, don't you?
Yeah.
Certainly within the first 2 hours, you are fighting a big monster.
You're climbing like a massive structure, and then exactly. This is the thing. I didn't get that vibe at all from it. I was interested in what I was doing. Yes, I can tell it's a tutorial section, but I didn't think that at all.
Yeah, I know. It was really weird, like just to kind of see that feedback and stuff from it. Like, it's really not a thing you go on continuing to say. Do you know what I mean? Because that game, once it opens up, there you go. Like, there's fucking all sorts.
It opens up and then opens up again.
Yeah.
Second time, and I'll be honest with you, a third time.
Probably a third time as well. Yeah.
Here's the thing, though, right, lads? Like it has been said, fucking hell, like this game coming out first time round with Breath of the Wild.
I know, man. I know. Like it can't be ignored, and I haven't really had a chance to talk to anyone about it, but it has happened again. It has.
This is what happened.
Yeah, it has.
Like it. Like I remember getting that first game, and I was like, okay, Breath of the Wild's out. There's no chance.
No.
I'm touching Horizon. No way. And like. Went back to it and went, oh, that was amazing.
Well, my history with it.
Yeah, I do actually, yeah. And here's the thing then, like, going into this with that game in our presence, I was kind of going, yeah, I think I'll shelve that game for a bit. I think I'll shelve Elden Ring for a bit, and see how we get on.
Really?
Yeah. I was like, that was my initial plan.
Okay. I see. Okay.
Yeah, my initial plan was like, I'm going to start Elden Ring, and then I'll flip flop. I haven't gone back to Horizon since, and we'll talk about why in a minute. I'm sure, and I will finish Horizon, and it's great, and I love it, and everything.
Yeah,
I can't wait to go back. But there is that thing around, Breath of the Wild and Elden Ring for both Horizons.
It's ridiculous.
It's not just someone going, oh, there's another big game. It's literally of the same scale for me in terms of.
But
in terms of our quality title like that,
is it hubris or arrogance, or is it bad luck? What? Because I'll be honest with you, I think so too. Because I'm one of those weirdos that quite like the Killzone games as well. But they've never really had much luck as a studio, have they? They've never really had that luck. I mean, around Killzone, people were having a go at them because of the game was being promoted this way and it ended up looking like this. And ultimately, that isn't going to be the developer. It would have been, PlayStation who organised the conferences and would have said, "Give us this, that, and the other. We want to show your games off." I mean, you got to remember, both these games were delayed.
Yeah.
And somehow I've ended up. I mean, it is bad. It's such. Horizon, I think, will be alright. I'm sure it's sold very well.
There's part of me, I'm sure it has, yeah, but there's part of me as well, as like you were saying there, Chris, that like going flip-flopping back and forth between the two, right? Because the way I saw it was like, I was kind of going, okay, Elden Ring reviews drop, and I was like, holy shit, like this is a big deal. Yeah. Like this is grabbing everyone's attention now, big time. So obviously I had the game pre-ordered, picked it up, and I was kind of came home with Elden Ring, and I was like, yeah, will I start this or what? And then I said to myself, I will start it, and what will happen is I'll get shat on by some ridiculous boss, and what I'll do then is when I'll just play that boss over and over, and when I'm frustrated, I'll just go over to Horizon. And then Elden Ring just started taking over, and here I am then 60 hours later, having gone back to Horizon.
You've played more Elden Ring than me.
Oh, dude, I'm 60 hours, and like I ain't stopping. I ain't stopping that game. Like, and I think that's what we need to move on to right now.
Yeah, no, I think that's. I will say that I think although you've played more hours than me, because I've been playing it longer, if that makes sense, because I had it a week before release. It's like I have hit the point now where I am. I think I'm kind of, and I think every one of these games you get this at some point. I think I'm ready for like a little bit of a break now, and that's not to say stop playing it. I mean to start bringing other things back into the rotation, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I can't talk about it this week, but I've been playing Ghostwire Tokyo, and I can talk about that next week. But and it's not just because I have to. Like there are games, and there are other games. I'd be honest with you, I want to play the new WWE. And I know that sounds insane, but everything I've heard about it from Chris and Sean, who, well, by the time you see this, the review of his will be up, so positives, there. But like Elden Ring is one of those where it's become my FIFA. I just keep playing it. I've got an hour to spare. Elden Ring for an hour.
Yeah. I think what you were just saying there with like moving our rotation, whatever, like
just bringing something else in.
Last night was the first like session of Elden Ring where I felt that, and it's for one sole reason.
Go on.
Is that map does not stop. It's just I'm up here now, and it still just keeps going and going. So here's the thing, right? And take this for what it is. Just as a recording, before I came on here, I beat the second like main story boss. Only.
So are we talking Academy?
So take on. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So the
and you're 60 hours in. That's
the kind of the one that's quite Bloodborne-ish.
Yes. So I've just beat that before recording here, right? So that now I've gotten through Margaret, Godric, and this Yoke, and I'm like, cool. 60 hours in, I went to a place. I went to a place last night because so hear me out, right? Like, as you're aware, my first real From Software like completion game was Sekiro. Okay, that was where I understood the games now fully of what this developer does. Right, so going into Elden Ring, I was like, oh, I'm fucking well ready for the next one now. Like, and I think taking on this game with kind of like what I had in mind was just like not what I expected at all. Like, as soon as I went out there into that world. And I was getting a flow of it and understanding what was going on. I was like, holy smokes.
Yeah.
I have not felt this way about a game since Breath of the Wild. Now, I say that because of its world. And I know you can constantly, like, I don't want to keep comparing the game to that. But look, come on. There is massive aspects.
I have stuff to say that's even more controversial than that.
Well, see, Mick obviously reviewed it for us, and he and I were having not an argument, but a discussion regularly about this during the review process. Because the more I played of it, the more I felt like. So, here's the comparison I make. Do you remember when Gears of War first came out and the active reload became popular, and everyone was like, "Oh, that's so cool! I'm going to copy that." But it takes a few years because games are already in development, so you can't just suddenly go, add that to our game, make a game like that. You got to, time's got to pass. I think what happens before that they get good is I think people take the wrong lessons from the games they're trying to emulate. And I think a lot of games have tried for Breath of the Wild, but have taken the wrong lessons from Breath of the Wild. I think we've now hit that point where, 5 years later, Elden Ring takes so many cues, but it learns mostly the right lessons from Breath of the Wild. This is the first one that's like done what Breath of the Wild did. I do think it. The only thing I think it has a slight problem with is I think the difficulty is kind of all over the place, because they very clearly said, right, here's the legacy dungeons, the story, here's everything else. That is like 2 games, and they've tried to smash it together, but there's no way around the fact that it makes for uneven difficulty, because you can genuinely go anywhere. Like, the speedrunners are coming out with it. People are completing it in under an hour, which is ridiculous. But you can bypass Godric completely.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You don't even have to fight him, I don't think.
They kind of seem to throw that kind of thing in with a lot of their games, don't they? You can just pass the first boss or something like that, you know?
Yes. But like you
all else...
It just like, what I mean is it's like that makes for the difficulty is weird, if that makes sense.
So the difficulty spike, right? What you're saying is, I totally get it, and at the same time, I would probably disagree slightly because of how the game is letting you just go where you want to go.
Yes.
And that is where, like, so the reason my 60 hours is what it is because I've just been like, just like trotting along, and I'm like, cool. What's that? Go over, dead, brilliant. Don't go there again. What's over here? Repeat. And that's what's going on. And I think a lot of people are doing that game. That kind of play style in ways. Now, last night, I went up to the very fucking top left, right? That Mount Volcano fucking place, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, look at this place. And I was just running for my dear life the whole way through it. And I was like, this is terrifying. It's big. It's daunting. It's just all sorts of wrong. I don't feel like I'm supposed to be here. Do you know what I mean? And it wasn't like... Prior to that, I was kind of like, I feel like I'm in the right area because of the game not telling you,
yes,
this is the level you should be at to be here. That's where the mistakes are happening, obviously. And when I went back then, I went, hang on a second, no, right? I'm 60 hours in. I need to figure out where I need to go off and do a main boss here. And when I went off and did that third boss there, smashed it. Why? Because I'm 60 hours in, and I'm after leveling my character up to shit. So that's why I'm absolutely smashed. So I was like, oh yeah, I should be here.
So that second boss, the same thing happened with us. Both of us co-op, like we literally. So we did it once, and we died a few times. But then the second time we did it, like I think we beat the second phase in like 10 seconds, wasn't it?
Oh, the second time we did it, it was almost unfair.
Yeah, it was almost unfair.
I felt bad for her.
But then you progress a little bit, and then all of a sudden you are not over leveled. Like there's this, that's what I mean by the sort of. I'm not. It's not a complaint because I don't think there's anybody alive that could balance a game this open. Like it's the same. It's the same as Breath of the Wild. Like Chris, you mentioned a Lionel. You can come up to a Lionel and they just wipe the floor with you, and you can't beat it. I mean, I'm sure you can, but I can't.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
So, okay, so I'm going to say some stuff. Drop some bombs.
Go on.
God.
But so I quite like this game. So I'm
really?
I'm
pretty good.
58, I think, hours.
How
so
are
not
both
too far.
More hours into it than me.
Well, you see, because like I don't even think I did this with Breath of the Wild.
Okay.
Right? I don't even think I did this with Breath of the Wild. I'm at a point in this game still, 58 hours in, where, and you know this because we literally played on my lunch break earlier, where I was like, if I've got an hour, I can just play an hour of Elden Ring. Like I'm literally like
yes,
and so that's how I'm 58 hours in because
I will say, just to clarify, I'm not shit at games. I've just realised another reason that people are going to be more hours than me is the first 6 hours I played at preview, and then I did those 6 hours in an hour and a half when I played the final version of the game because you know where to go, you know what to do.
Plus, there's the thing like we're co-oping a lot, which doubles the hours up.
Well, that's
doing
fair.
It twice, but you know there is that as well. But we're ahead of Adam, so we're better than him. But you know,
are we though? Are we? We're one boss ahead of this. We're one boss ahead of him. One
but he's 60 hours in and only just done that. We'd explored half the map.
He can probably go there right now and do it.
Because of the co-op thing, which we need to talk about the co-op in a minute. But there's a few things I want to say. So firstly, like obviously this game is obviously Dark Souls and Breath of the Wild just merged together. I'm being reductive, but you get it, right? What I would say, what I personally believe is this game being released, like Elden Ring releasing, puts a lot of pressure on Breath of the Wild 2 for me, because Elden Ring's kind of proven
If stuff Breath Adam comes 2... back for. This is the sort of comment that Adam Carroll came back for.
If Breath of the Wild 2 comes out and doesn't have
a bollock story.
No, it doesn't have, doesn't have bloody fingers everywhere. No. If it doesn't have some meaty ass dungeons.
Oh really?
And if it doesn't do that, I'm kind of thinking that's not good enough.
So you want the old style, because that was the biggest complaint about Breath of the Wild, wasn't it?
Yeah, what I'm saying is
people want the old dungeons.
Do you add out of interest? Because I don't.
Yeah.
You do? Okay.
No, I definitely would take them, man. Like, don't get me wrong, I love the shrines and stuff.
Yeah. But for me,
Jesus, a classic dungeon.
Yeah, but like Elden Ring has shown, you can do open world, big dungeons, and loads of little dungeons, and it'd be fine. Like, I am not saying they need to just copy paste Elden Ring, because that just would be awful for Breath of the Wild. But they've shown that you can make it work, because the criticism before is like, but it's open world, so dungeons wouldn't really work. Yes, it can. They're showing that it can work, and yes, it's not perfect. And what you say about difficulty, there's always that balance with open world, and you're absolutely right. Breath of the Wild doesn't get it right either.
Sorry, Chris. Can I just, to be clear, are you? Because what I'm hearing is Elden Ring is better than Breath of the Wild.
No, hang on. I'm not quite saying that. That's not quite the grenade I'm dropping.
That's what I'm feeling you're trying to say.
What I'm saying is, if Breath of the Wild 2 comes out, and the approach is the same as Breath of the Wild 1, obviously with extra bits and bells and whistles and stuff, I don't think that's good enough. Now Elden Ring exists. That's what I'm saying. So I think if you have an open world like in Breath of the Wild, and you just have a load of shrines or mini things going on, I don't think that's good enough. Elden Ring's world is fuller and more interesting than Breath of the Wild's, and I told you grenades, but like that's how I feel about it. Like, yes, in Breath of the Wild, I loved exploring, and I loved just going somewhere and going up a hill and seeing if there was something up there. And I haven't had that feeling until now in Elden Ring. But the difference is, in Elden Ring, I'm probably going to find something a little bit more interesting, more often than not, than a Korok seed. And I think,
like, out of all the fucking podcasts to come back to,
look,
like,
I told
Jesus,
you, this is.
I'm going to need another 6 months after this.
What I hope is that it's a good thing, because it means that when we get Breath of the Wild 2, it's going to be fucking fantastic. But
Breath of the Wild 2 is already in development. It's been in development for a long time.
Yeah, I'm just saying that for me, I would be disappointed if it was.
But what if Breath of the Wild is in the same universe? Sorry, Breath of the Wild 2 is in the same. It's the same map.
It's going to get interesting anyway. That's going to get interesting anyway, whether it's the same map and stuff. But I who knows? I guess what I'm saying is, the big thing when Breath of the Wild came out, people were moaning about not having big dungeons, was that it's difficult to make it work, and Elden Ring has proven that it can work. It's not perfect.
People moan about Aloy having too much hair on her face.
It's not
people
the
have
same,
never seen a real woman before, have they? Like, they've never been.
Please don't wrap me up with the facial hair Aloy people. Come on, that's not the same. That's not fair. That's how I feel about it, though. I feel like I'd be disappointed, given what Elden Ring has shown is possible, if that's what happens with Breath of the Wild 2. And I told you it's grenades. But
which is you saying it's better than it?
No, it's no. Breath of the Wild was it's of its time, and as you say, Elden Ring has learned lessons from it and built on it.
It's hard to say unless you're one specific person.
What's that?
If someone turned around
Adam said
to
it's hard to say that it's better than Breath of the Wild, and I'm saying it's only hard to say unless you're one person in this world who isn't on the podcast. But
oh yeah.
Oh god, yeah. Sorry.
But like the thing about it is, right? I feel like it's a funny, because if someone said to me, if someone came in with that level of passion for Breath of the Wild, and then said, "I think Elden Ring is better. It's a game I prefer," I would have to kind of turn around and go, "I can accept it. I can accept this."
It's too soon, man. It's too soon for that.
To be clear, at no point in this podcast have I said it's better than Breath of the Wild. You're trying to make me say it.
But like I'm saying, in comparison, like the level of the challenges put in place, the general, they are very different, but like
yeah, they are.
It's just that like I wonder now, will the next Breath of the Wild be like are they looking at this now going, right, Elden Ring has done that now. They've taken something that we did and they've released that. And now are they going to look at the criticism? Are they just going to be like, no, we're Nintendo, it's Zelda. Let's just do our thing and that's that. Because
I think you kind of know the answer to that.
You know the answer, but I hope that
Nintendo without a shadow of a doubt,
though, they either have blind arrogance and we just have to go with it, or sometimes go, no, that's actually because they're genius, and you never know which one you're going to get. I'm not saying one's better than the other. I'm saying, well, for the first time, we're talking about it and not laughing.
Yeah, you're talking about the possibility.
Yeah,
I will say, as much as I think Elden Ring cribs from Breath of the Wild, and I really do think it strongly cribs from Breath of the Wild, I do think they are also quite different.
Of course they are.
Yes, they're third person. Yes, they're big open world adventures. Yes, there's story stuff and main stuff, but like they are. You know, it's like a difference between a Clementine and a Satsuma. Do you know what I mean? It's like they are in the same family, I guess, but they're not the same.
Absolutely, and I was just saying it as an observation in terms of, I guess, dungeons and interconnected dungeons and open worlds and progression and stuff like that.
If you had to play only one of them for the rest of your days.
See, that's really hard.
No, I know, because right now you'd say Elden
because of right now in my head, but I don't know if that'd be true if you asked me end of the year.
5 years after it came out.
Or whatever, but... The other thing that I will say about this game that I've adored is, and maybe Breath of the Wild was the last time this really happened, maybe it wasn't, but is this game has been a proper, like, this is going to sound really old school corporate, but like a proper like water cooler game, isn't it? In the sense that everyone, I mean, our Discord's full of it. It's happening all over, like Twitter. I see it all the time on Twitter. Everyone's talking about their own experiences within the game and what they're finding, and the order which they're finding stuff is different because people are free to go off and explore them. So people are finding things out at different times. And it's just so lovely to hear people passionately talking about their unique experiences with the game in the order that they're doing it.
Can I just say, though, right?
Yes.
Like, just if I'm okay to talk about before I forget my point.
Yes.
That I was saying there, right? The reason that so many people are like absolutely like connecting with this game and it's building the community is just because it just tells you fucking nothing. It just tells you nothing.
It does tell you nothing.
Breath of the Wild in ways is not as hardcore in that sense, but at the same time it does basically say, here's the foundation laid down, off you go. And is there something about that style in game development? Because if I'm going to go back to Horizon for a second, God damn it, I do not want to talk to everyone, but I feel like I should in case I miss something.
Yes.
Yeah. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you go in and you're like, hey, whatever your name is,
Dave,
Robert, and you're like,
you won't
what's
remember
up?
the map.
And he just goes, he's like, oh, Ayla, hello, blah, 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 blah. And you're like, yeah, what's happening? And then the tree opens up, the wheel, and there's 4 options. And you click one, and then it'll open up another one. And you're like, get the answer out, and then it'll go back to it. And you're like, and then you go through them all.
Yeah.
And then you kind of go, okay, I got nothing for that. And then you see there's another speech bubble over the person next to him. Same thing. And you're kind of going, I have a lot to clear up here. I have a lot that I want to do. And before you know it, you've spent nearly 20 minutes in like a little base camp, and you got nothing but just a little bit of story. Like, if even, like some character kind of thing.
Yeah.
That then is where you've too much going on that's unnecessary. Like, just keep it to a minimum because your game is long enough as it is. And that is what Elden Ring is teaching me massively, is that, like, do you know what? Here we are now, okay. I open my map. I got an item that I don't understand, but, you know, something might happen with this. But, you know, over there I can see a little windmill. Probably going to get something nice there. Who knows? Might even find a little mini boss fight. And you go over and look, it all unfolds. Mini boss fight, nice little item. Might be a shit piece of item. But you feel that sense of reward, which then leads you into the Discord chat or the community and go,
yes.
Did any of you go to this spot? Where in the map is it? Oh, it's here. Fun. That's the way it is. As opposed to going, you're never going to mention, did anyone talk to blah, blah, blah in Horizon there in blah. No one mentions those parts. Nobody. Because it's not important. Do you know, in a sense? So that's why I feel like going forward, I want more games kind of to do this. I don't really want like it's not like
it's an interesting balance, isn't it? Because like
completely
because like obviously created structure can pay off with amazing kind of designed kind of set pieces and stuff that wow you as moments in their own right. Whereas like your own adventure, those moments are very much personal and unique to you and will pay off depending on what you see and whether you even actually go to somewhere, because you could miss entire the downside of an open world is like you could miss half the bloody game if you don't know to go to somewhere or explore. You know, ironically, Elden Ring's one of those games where I get annoyed if I accidentally progress the game because I'm like, no, I want to go to the 3 optional areas first to see if I've got if there's something down there. But so I think there's room. I think there's room for both. I do think there is entertainment. There is joy to be found in discovering your own game and discovering your not being handheld to everything. I think that is great. It's a fine line because Elden Ring tells you absolutely nothing sometimes. You're like, I don't understand what that conversation meant, or I don't understand what that item was. I don't understand what you want me to do. But yeah, I get what you're saying, though. I think
it's just one of those things. Yeah. Can I ask as well to you guys? Now, this isn't just a thing that Elden Ring is just all of a sudden created. This is just all from Software Games. But as I said, this is really my second proper time investment into one, you know. Where do you guys land with, like, say, your gear? Like, right? Because I'm going to say straight out here, like, I am probably one of those players that, like, an absolute pro come in and go, what are you doing? Like, what are you doing in this game? You have it all wrong. That could happen, or someone could be like, you've all this gear here, and you haven't built up your stats to it, right? As it stands, right, I got some nice great sword that I've upgraded to as it stands, +4, +5, or some shit like that, right? Does the business. It's nice and heavy when I need to get in there and all that kind of stuff. But overall, I got some like kind of a katana kind of thing early on in the game.
Uchigatana. I can't say it. Can anyone say the word?
Katana.
Thank you.
That's the one, right? We've all got it. But I stuck with it, and it's done me fine. 60 hours in, I feel when I need something fast-paced, this does the ticket. Right?
I get what you're saying. Like, this is probably the first game I have experimented with gear.
Other things going on, all these other items, and I'm kind of going, that is absolutely higher stats in damage and stuff, but I am not there. Have I made a mistake? That is where I question myself. Have I you should be putting your... Because I level up vigor, endurance, and strength. That's what I'm going for. I haven't gone near any of the magic shit because I got some ones, but I ain't there yet. And my leveling up business is so high, you know, because I'm like level 51 or something. So I'm like gone so far past, I feel, trying to revert around and go back to magic. It's just not going to go. Am I after making a mistake, or can I figure this out by farming?
So, I mean, to be really clear, before we get anybody saying I don't know what I'm talking about, I don't profess to be an expert in this, but I've obviously I've played all the Dark Souls and Demon Souls where they do a lot of this in terms of like attributes and scaling and all that sort of stuff to work out how to kind of get the best numbers, your best attack, best defense, and all that sort of stuff with the gear. So I pay attention to it quite a lot. I'm like, I mean, I'm a numbers geek anyway, but like, I'm like, oh, my attack's gone up to 418 now. That's brilliant. But I know what I'm looking for when I knew in this game. I'm an astrologer, so I'm magic, right? So I knew. Right. For me, I was like, right, okay, I know that I need stuff that's going to scale with the stuff I'm going to put stuff into intelligence quite early on. Yeah. So I need weapons that are going to scale with intelligence, because then I know that as I put stuff into intelligence, my weapon's going to get stronger at the same time. If I don't do that, I've got to put stuff in intelligence, and then, like you, maybe strength, and then I'm splitting. And there's nothing wrong with splitting, but I was going to specialize, so that's why I had to find something that would fix. But like, I remember having a conversation with Adam, probably, I don't know how many hours in we were to Elden Ring, and I was trying to talk him through some of the scaling stuff, because it does not tell you. I know it because I've played Dark Souls and read up on it when I wanted to know it then, so it was second nature to me in Elden Ring, but it does not tell you anything about it at all. So I was talking him through it about, okay, if you're going to be a strength character, if you're going to be a dex character, whatever, then you need to be looking at this for stuff. And then as you find more gear, Adam, you know what you're looking at, and you go, okay, yeah, this is probably going to be better for me. This is going to suit me better than other things. Or actually, no, what I just picked up is worse, and all that sort of stuff. But if you've not looked into it before, if Elden Ring's your first, and Sekiro didn't really do it. So if you've not played like the Dark Souls and invested time in that, there's a risk to it. But having said that, that's if you want to min-max stuff, right? And you don't have to.
Fine.
Yeah, and exactly. So you don't have to. You could.
But I want to in ways like, you know, there's some weapons I have, and I'm like, oh, that looks pretty fucking banging. Yeah. Like if I was able to use that, but then I equip it, and I'm like a slug. So I'm just like, well, that's that then. Like,
have you spoke to Renala since beating that boss? The boss you said you just beat. Have you spoken?
No,
so,
haven't.
So you should
literally just beat it.
We won't say why, but you should do that.
Yeah. Talk to
I will.
Person.
There's just so many goddamn things I need to figure out and do, but like none of it is frustrating me, and that's what's crazy.
I have Scarlet Rot, but that can.
Oh man, that's torture.
It just builds up so quickly.
No thanks.
I haven't of all the Soulsborne games and Sekiro and that. This is the one that's frustrated me the least, and I use the term accessibility, I guess, in inverted commas, because I know there's a whole accessibility conversation that's separate in terms of like control schemes and stuff. But in terms of like approach and difficulty, and that thing in Souls games where you hit a brick wall and you've just got to keep going because you've got to get past this boss. There are a couple of those moments which me and Adam have found, but generally speaking, if you want, just go and fuck off 100 miles to the west and go and find something else to do, or go and piddle about in some caves and just find some more stuff, and there's interesting things to do. So I found myself getting not very frustrated with the game at all, even when I die, because I know, well, if worst case scenario, I can just give up and do something else and come back to it stronger and wiser, and probably with a calmer head than whereas
the open world aspect is the greatest thing to happen in these types of games
100%.
Easily, because the reason you're not as frustrated, and I feel like every person will say the same things, because as soon as I started this game, as soon as I started Elden Ring, I had that exact same feeling that I've had every goddamn other time. Is you press play, here we go, character made, and then it hits you. Then it's like, now when am I going to die? When is my first death going to happen? And you're going along, you feel like every other game before, it's like a tight corridor you're starting in, and you're waiting for that rotten shit to come out and just go bang. And it's done, and it might trick you and say you had to die and blah, 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 blah. This being just like, well, eventually you like very quickly go to Limgrave, whatever, and off you go. And you're kind of like, oh, you just don't feel claustrophobic. And that helps in a game this challenging. Do you know what I mean? But by God, it does hand its fair share of difficulty as well. Whoa.
Yeah. Well, look, we're probably going to talk about Elden Ring for weeks to come. And
we are.
For those listening or watching later, we've been having some technical difficulties, so we might have to cut the podcast a little bit shorter. But I do want to talk about a game. Well, I want Chris to talk about a game before we close the episode out, because I think if we don't talk about it this week, we will never do so. I'll talk about some Kirby and some Gran Turismo and Triangle Strategy like in a week or so. Like I think Adam, you're going to be playing some of them.
I'm here. No, come on.
What do you want to know about?
Well, I want to know, but I also don't want to know, because like my list of non-Elden Ring games is already quite long, and I'm like, I already want to play Triangle Strategy.
The man munching the humans. How is he getting on?
So, I can only talk about the first world, if that makes sense. And I've written it in the preview, so I don't want to repeat myself too much, but I will say that it's probably the biggest surprise. So, I mean, look, we're only in March. It's the biggest surprise for me. Like this is definitely. We thought this might be like a bit Mario Odyssey like in terms of some of the stuff. And it is. Like the first world certainly is. The worlds are just full of things. If you take shines out of Odyssey and replace them with something else, this is what you're doing in these levels. And it's so creative. Like all the way things are hidden in the world, like it's so creative. And again, only the first world I'm talking about here. It's not difficult. But it's not as easy as some of the Kirby games that have been in the past. It always felt like Kirby was like for the ones people who couldn't handle even Mario or something. It's not as easy as it has been in the past. But again, I'm only talking about the first world, so I can't be sure. But like, there's a lot here, and I'm looking forward to digging more into it. But the game I want to hear about is Babylon's Fall, because if we don't talk about that this week, we're never going to. And I feel like it needs to be said, because this is a game that's by Square Enix and Platinum Games, and if you say that out loud, you go, "Oh,
yep."
And then the thing is, unfortunately, what is followed with, "Oh no, oh no."
It's Chris. Before I even chat about it, it sounds like this game would be joining Scarlet Rot.
This is worse.
Worse than Scarlet Rot. Oh man,
it's honestly, like I was saying to Adam off air, like there are very few games that when I'm playing them, they make me agitated. Not like Elden Ring might make me agitated because I just got wiped the floor by a boss, but angry that I shouldn't have to play this crap. Like, and in the sense of this game shouldn't exist in this way. This game should be better than this. This is unacceptable. That type of anger. Last time I had that was Balan Wonderworld, when I got so angry I was like, no, I'm done. And this one, Babylon's Fall, is another. Look, there's a few things that that need to be said about this game. The first one is the one that people will notice straight off the bat, and that this game looks like a PS3 game smeared with Vaseline.
It's dreadful looking.
It really, honestly, what annoys me about this kind of some of the crap that things like Pokemon Legends Arceus or something like that get, some of the grief that gets. And yes, in places, I even said it myself when I played it. I was like, some of the texts in that game look a little bit boxy, a little bit ropey, a little bit basic. This literally looks like someone started to make some started to read a book about what a texture was, and then just like I say, rub grease over it.
It's not just the textures. There's issues with the lighting. The bit I pointed out to you, where the lighting is done in a way that it completely blinds the whole screen and you can't see anything. It just
and then there's like weird shadow effects with the lighting as well. So there's no redeeming features on the lighting, and then the character models look really quite bad as well. And so visually, it's not stunning, but that's fine, right? Because it's not all about how a game looks; it's about how a game plays, right? Because sometimes you can just
I could forgive visuals being dodgy if the game's like really engaging and fun,
Same.
and it makes you want to come back more.
I would go, look, it's not a stunner, but stick with it. That's what you absolutely. That's it's why people go back and play older games, and it doesn't matter sometimes to people. But like this game is very much like, I mean, it's like a hack and slash game, right? Okay, you've got weapons. You're going through a very, very basic kind of, I don't say dungeons, but you're kind of going through
dungeons.
They're
dungeons with corridors and combat rooms with nothing else. There's corridors
and stuff, and corridors and arenas, and occasionally things you've got to climb over and jump. But essentially, you go into, you progress forward a bit. You've got to kill some enemies. Then when they're all dead, the barriers drop and you go to the next day. It's literally that, which I know is quite reductive because quite a lot of games like that are like that. But
no, they're not though. Not modern ones.
No, not modern ones. And the combat, you would think the combat would be something you'd be like, right, here we go.
It's Platinum. If anything,
it's Platinum.
We are the last port of call here. This is going to save it.
Yeah, and then you're just like, I mean, first off, there's the default button mapping is atrocious. Yeah. Like,
but Mick said he had to remap it instantly.
You could change that, but like the idea that they've got I think it's dodge was the right trigger,
R1.
But like R1 is dodge, but like the
L1 is, I think, lock on, and the secondary specials are the triggers. Yeah.
So to do combat is really
you can't lock on and also be using your weapon attacks on the triggers, because you can't physically.
Yeah. I mean, I've got sausage fingers as it is, right? So this kind of thing's hard anyway. But like, instantly you're like, oh my god, what's it trying to do here? And then it is just button mashing. You're not. There's not glorious combos to kind of like, and you start feeling like, these games. The way you should feel in these games is you should feel like a Mac Daddy, because you're like, you pulling off combos and dodging around, and just, those games should be all about feeling awesome. That's what they should be feeling about. But they literally, unless you, well done, you dodged an attack, that's about as highlight as it gets, because the rest is just like constantly spamming light or heavy attacks or these special moves depending on the situation. And it's just so basic. And that's the thing that infuriates me so much, is this game feels like
it wouldn't get away with what it tries to get away with, even if it was free to play.
No.
And that's the other thing. Play, by the way,
that is the other thing we need to talk about. Like, the other thing that really irked me in this game is that it's designed itself purely as though it's a free to play game to try and get you to spend money. So you've already paid for the game, and then literally full price, and then the first shop that opens is essentially a microtransaction shop, not a gear shop. A microtransaction. You have to go through all this crap. You have to all these dialogue to unlock a microtransaction. I'm like, I just want to play the game, but you put it front and center. The first thing I should be interacting with in terms of NPCs in this main sort of starting town.
But you know what? I think you can go back a bit more. Shop. I think you can go further. You can go before that, prior to that, because I don't know what the design is here. That so when you first are introduced to like the quest board, you speak to someone and they explain this is the quest board, and it's like, okay, I get it. Most games will do that. Monster Hunter does that sort of thing.
Yeah, that's fine.
But then every time you go back to the quest board, you don't click the quest board, you talk to them, they speak for a bit, and then you click open quest board. And it's like, I do not want to talk to them every time I want to open the quest board. And it's the same with the vendors. You can't just go and open the vendor. You can't just open the shop and buy shit. You got to listen to their spiel, which is not funny and not well written, and then it will let you open the shop. Even that basic design elements. And like people have often go on about reviewers and how everything's 7 to 10 nowadays. No one uses the lower scale. The thing is, games like this don't happen very often. No. It's not that the scale isn't used, it's that games are rarely 3 or 4s out of 10 these days, outside of some games you probably would never even heard of, because most people don't cover them because they don't have any interest. But a big game by Square and Platinum, you do cover. I was... Look, I'm not angry like the way Chris was, like you said, it makes him agitated. Every second I was playing, I couldn't believe what I was seeing. I just couldn't believe what I was playing.
And in a world where the game quality that we have been talking about, and we've only mentioned a few, right? But like there was part of me, and I know this is maybe this is a bit, you shouldn't say this, but I'm like I could be playing Elden Ring or Horizon or Pokemon or Dying Light 2 or Triangle Strategy, but I'm not. I'm playing, and it's like it's not good enough.
It's baffling
to
me.
I get that there are different games for different people, but this is not a good example of
any
of that. And
I would even go so far as to say there is some kind of dodgy stuff in there, in terms of some of the accents and some of the like personalities they've given certain people in this game are like, I'm not sure that's okay in this day.
There's a little stuff that's on the nose. Like,
but there's a black guy in there who's got like a Jamaican accent, I think, and there's a bit early on where he does that kind of the teeth sucking, noise, which is like a stereotype. Let's be generous and say it's stereotypical and not outwardly, bad. Yeah. But it did make me go, ooh, really? Okay. Yeah. And look, hey, listen, people with Jamaican accents do exist. That is a real accent. But it's like I don't know. And like the cutscenes are bad. The combat,
even the voice. I didn't think the voice acting was. I mean, the combat's probably the best thing, and even that's just.
But the combat winds me up because the idea behind it isn't bad. The idea is, right, because you obviously haven't played it, is that you have your standard like light and heavy attack, but it's 2 different weapons because they're sort of ethereal behind you. They actually get in the way visually. If you have big hammers and stuff, they're too big. You can't see through them properly. But so they're sort of, rather than you actually physically having a weapon in each hand, they are coming from this weird thing called a coffin or something in the
coffin in
the back. It's like it's weird space sci-fi medieval nonsense. And anyway, the idea is that you've got light and heavy, so you could put like a hammer or a sword or a dagger or a bow and arrow, but you also have 2 more weapons that are like L2 and R2. So you can really, the idea, I think the idea is that you could really combo up here by having like a sword on your light attack, a bow on your heavy attack, L2's a hammer, R2's this. So you could really be comboing this cool shit. It's so fucking fiddly and uncomfortable. I don't know how you would do it, how anyone would be dexterous enough to do it. The idea is like that.
Yeah,
doesn't work.
There's nuggets in there that you think I can see what they're going for, but the movement doesn't feel great. I think the voice acting it's not good, and so you're in this weird bit where I go, I'm not really having that much fun in the actual main combat. I'm not having a lot of fun listening to these cutscenes and looking at the stuff I'm having to look at on screen because it looks ugly as well, and it's just. I don't want to sound like I'm just railing on it.
No, but the thing is, it feels out of time as well. Because the thing I noticed the most is that one of the biggest things that made me really go, this has either been in development a long time or is made by someone who's not been paying attention, is that when you get loot in the dungeon, you don't know what it is. You have to wait until you finish the dungeon, and then you can open all your loot, and then if you want to equip it, you can. Modern games don't do that. In a modern game, if you find a plus 10... Imagine if you were playing in the Souls game and you were walking through the castle and you found a Roger's Rapier plus 8, but you can't equip that until you finish the dungeon. In fact, we're not even going to show you what it is, even though you've just picked it up.
Yeah, it will be mystery weapon 6,
and that's across the board from armor to swords to weapons. You don't even know what you've got till the end of a mission. So it's like the loot is unsatisfying because of that. Because you're right, Chris. We don't need to rail on it. There is one more game I'd like to talk about before. Because I don't think it's going to get talked about much on here. Just before we finish up, I want to talk about Gran Turismo 7, right? Now, Ad, I thought you might have picked this up. But Elden Ring,
maybe right now, Elden Ring, I have enough to be playing at the moment.
So all I would say about it, I won't keep you long, because I know obviously it's like talking about a football game, it's quite a niche thing, a racing game. All I will say is this, is if you cannot accept that Gran Turismo is designed for proper, like, gearhead car merchants, don't bother buying it. Because this is as much of a racer as it is, it's also a celebration of, like, automotive vehicles. It is that. It is, we want you to go and collect 3 Japanese, front-wheel drive cars. I don't even know if that's a thing, I can't remember. And when you've done that, we're going to have this bloke who runs a cafe say, right, you've completed that menu. Now I want to tell you about them in absolute detail and the history of the cars and all that. Now, if you can't stomach that, this ain't the game for you. I think the racing's tremendous. The reason I wanted to bring it up is because I don't think it will be talked about much on our podcasts. But I did want to mention that I think the handling and the way the cars work is sort of revolutionary. Like, Adam, I know you drive. Chris, do you drive? You do drive, yeah, you do. Yeah. I know you do. So when you do genuinely in real life drive in the wet, you don't go, oh, it's raining, I better change the way I drive. You just do it. It's an automatic thing. Your brain, you need to brake sooner. You can't take a corner. You're not thinking like a race driver, but you just think, I have to go slow around this corner. That's a black spot where lots of people have accidents. Blah blah blah. In this, the way a car drives in the wet to the dry is like it's like you've got 2 different cars. And the other thing I think this game gets that I've never seen a racing game get ever is hills and declines. So when you are turning left to right, you know roughly how to turn left to right. But if that left to right is on a hill and then into a decline, you have to completely change the way you're driving because of the elevation of the track. And I have never played a game where I've gone... What it made me actually do was go, I'm driving up this hill early in a race and I've not got the best car and I'm doing all right, and then all of a sudden I'm going uphill and I'm like, fuck, this car's I'm not gonna get past them. I haven't got the power in this car to get up this hill at the rate I want to. And I've never had a game made me go, oh yeah, hills do take a bit of work for cars, don't they? Do you know what I mean? I've never had that feeling. Yeah, and then going around a bend like this up to down in the wet, and the car feels like all of a sudden I've never driven before. I've never had a game do that. So for all the shit that people will label GT with, and fair enough, I can understand it. It takes itself. There's no apology. It takes itself very seriously. It's not. It doesn't think, oh, this is a laugh. It doesn't. It doesn't do that. I love it. I kind of love what it is. I love this. That it's this celebration, like this kind of almost weird. It's weird because it's very Japanese. It's developed by Polyphony, but it feels quite English.
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah,
like
I've heard people say that.
It feels like, very like I would not be surprised if someone said to me, "Oh yeah, lots of UK media gave it 10 out of 10, and all the American media gave it 4." It wouldn't shock me because it feels like it's aiming at a certain sensibility, a cultural thing, maybe. And I'm not saying that Americans can't appreciate it or anything like that. I just think that there is a cultural divide in some respects like that, and do you know what I really like about it? It's got this thing. I think it's called Workout, and basically you log in every day and you do, I think it's 36 miles or 38 miles, and that can be 8 miles. That can be just you taking the same test over and over again because you want to get 16 seconds, not 17, to get ahead of Steve on your fucking leaderboards. It can be that, but it can also be like you do in Le Mans and all sorts, whatever you want. But when you hit that, you get like a daily ticket to spin a roulette, and a bit like in Forza Horizon, the roulette things. And I feel like I feel like a classic gentleman slipping his pipe and slippers on and sitting by a roaring fire, sipping Chardonnay whilst doing my 38 miles a day. And it makes me feel quite classy in a weird way. And I genuinely dig it. I don't think there's an awful lot like it. Like, you know, there's loads of racing games out there, and Forza Motorsport, the mainline ones, they're very serious about themselves, and they're very cars. But even that doesn't come close. Like, I don't think there's anything else on the market. I suppose you'd go Assetto Corsa Internazionale is that kind of hardcore sim, but I don't think it's got the level of non-racing stuff. Yeah, and I don't know. I love the fact that I've got a letter above. There's a little letter icon above that elite dealership. Oh, you're going to sell me this Porsche for 1 million GT7 credits, and it's only available for a limited time. Shit, I really want that Porsche. You know,
I'll take 2.
Yeah, okay. I won't. I love that. I love that everyone in the game has kind of got a little bubble. Like, I love the weirdness that they've got some of the GT Sport kind of esports guys taking a photo of them, and they're kind of instructors in the game. They're like, "Hey, I'm Thomas, and I'm from Germany, and I first started racing when I was a child on my PlayStation." And it's like, I love how celebratory it is. And it's total cheese some of the time. It is. Yeah. It's so cheesy, some of this. But I absolutely am here for it. Like, it's so
cool.
It kind of is. It's kind of like weirdly cool. It just makes you feel like a classy gentleman, like I say. And I don't know there's many games that can do that. And but again, you have to know that. You have to know that going in, that this is going to be a lot of text, a lot of learning. Like, the licensed stuff is exactly what it used to be, but modern, you know, and loads like quick. The haptics are great. It's very addictive. Like, I was late for dinner because I was just like, I am not moving until I get gold in this. I'm not moving. It's a bit like that thing with Souls, where it's like, I am not shutting this PlayStation off until I beat this boss. And at some point, you do have to go, I can't do it tonight. I can't do it tonight. And then you do it, and then you do it, and you're like, yeah, it's gold. I genuinely love this game. I'm really surprised how much I dig it. But that is a podcast this week. If you were there live, sorry. If you're listening later,
thanks.
but thanks. It's rare we have technical issues. Certainly rare my internet does that. But these things happen, I guess. And they do. And it's so nice to have Adam back. I noticed a comment in the chat earlier.
It's good to be back.
I'll see if I can find it.
From Phil.
The Corkman returneth, says Phil Tyndall. Welcome back, Adam Carroll. It's been far too long. And where's another one? Deadbeat Punk says, Jesus, which is not me putting on an accent. He said Jesus. If I knew Irish Ad was going to be here, I would have put a tie on. I mean, that's...
gee, and you said suit head. God, everyone gets very well dressed for my appearance.
Yeah, well, we just, feel special. But guys, thank you for bearing with the technical difficulties and being the professionals that you are. And Adam, good to have you back. Chris, lovely as always, mate.
Cheers, buddy.
And everybody else, go to our patreon.com/GodIsAGeek. Go to our Discord. You can find all that on Patreon. Facebook, Twitter. We're on everywhere. You can find us pretty easily. And if this is your first week watching or listening, know that it isn't always like this, but we soldier through anyway because we are the troopers. Next week, I'll talk some Triangle Strategy and some Ghostwire Tokyo. Probably some more Elden Ring, lads, would you not say?
I might put it on again, yeah.
You might play it once or twice more in the week. Yeah. Anyway, we will speak to you next week or whenever you choose to listen. Bye-bye for now.